functions that they do. They support internal operations. They actually support marketing. They support our digital footprint. And of course, we have very critical labor in the digital space, in the ERP space, in the testing space that actually support projects in the US.
Could you please tell us briefly about a customer who, after opting for your services or products, how its growth curve changed in terms of top line or overall market share or customer impact? Briefly, any one of the customers in US, maybe a Starbucks or anybody or a rental car company, what was it earlier and what was the impact you created on the top line or on the operation side?
So, I mean, the one example that I'd like to talk about is a company which, it's mostly in the telecom space that had a lot of difficulty. For example, as many of you know, right, in the US, if you were to buy a phone, many of these telco players sell the iPhone, for example. But the fact of the matter is iPhone or many of these devices actually are the loss leaders. You actually lose money selling them. So the margins are actually much higher, for example, in the accessory business. Your covers, your chargers, these are the ones where you have 1,000, 2,000% margins. But very often what happens is, again, it goes to the psychology of a buyer. When I go and buy an iPhone, for example, and I've spent about $1,000 on it, there is a guilt that goes with it, which basically means that I'm unlikely to spend money on other things like my fancy covers or, putting on an extra shield for my glass, getting a Bluetooth, things like that. And very often, the carrier that has subsidized these phones does not get to sell many of these products because on the same day, the buyer is unlikely to spend another $300 or $400. But if you look at it, right, I just sold $1,000 worth of merchandise, but I've made nothing in it and probably lost money there. So my opportunity to make money is to actually sell you the $300, $400 of accessories. So we actually were able to work with a couple of telcos that helped them actually figure out ways in which they could drive the accessory business both through the physical store and the online presence. And that was a set of creative things that we had to do to make that possible. That's an example where we were able to drive top line growth in a high margin business.
But we're already seeing in India as well, even the physical stores or the Flipkarts now sell everything online. So the model is already there in India and other emerging markets. So, I mean, I don't know where was the differentiation actually in that?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
See, whatever the impact you created, the products doesn't give you the money. It's accessories which has more margins. But I think that everybody is learned that, and it's everybody is doing it. In the case of any mobile stores here, they make money on accessories, even the Flipkarts or Snapdeals.
Actually, the point that you haven't fully comprehended here is the following, is that the telcos that we're talking about were already selling accessories. So we didn't necessarily bring accessories to the picture. What we figured out is, how do we ensure that we time the sales of the accessories in such a way that conversion happens? See, the key question here is not whether you get this on the store, physical or online. The question is, can you make conversion happen? There's a lot of creativity that goes behind the scenes to ensure conversion happens. And that's the key operating word here. Because if you don't get conversion, anybody can have an online store and put products there. The question is, can you make your customer buy it? Can you increase conversion? Which means that I've come, seen it. There's no guarantee I'm going to buy it. It's like going to an automotive store, a retail dealer, and wanting to buy a car. Every guy that walks in doesn't buy the car. It's conversion. So the key thing here is, how do you maximize conversion? How do you reduce abandonment? Which means that and that's a constant battle. It's a constant battle to do that. And it's a lot of fun making that, a process. And even how you time it, and what kind of promotions do you have to provide to incentivize that? How do you attract it? And then how do you actually, do the merchandising online as well, where you've given the customer an idea. So to give you an example, if I were to sell this, flower vase empty on the website, now I only look at it as a vase. But what if I'm able to put flowers there and allow this different ways in which I'm giving the customer an idea of how to actually use the product? It changes the whole thing. This vase would sell for nothing if it was a plain vanilla vase. But what if I could be much more creative with how I show it visually and make that purchase more of an impulse? That whole conversion process requires a different kind of mindset.
When your revenue size, is there something, and I wanted you to take us through this acquisition.
So I'll let VT talk for a few minutes on the acquisition. Just give them a turn of your perspective as well. You want to grab this for some time? Okay, you want to come forward from a wise perspective?
Sorry, my knee is not ready.
You can sit and talk.
No,
Please,
okay.
no problem.
That's it. So, yeah. So I met Mr. Rangan a few months back and found this amazing achievement, because I've been from the IT side actually for quite some time. Actually, for almost 18 years I've been an entrepreneur. And I've been building a few companies, and I had a little bit of time spent on healthcare and building healthcare company and other spaces as well. In IT so far, I've never seen a company actually starting in 2 years, somebody has achieved $30 million revenue and poised actually and I saw the vision of the promoter and the passion. The passion is not just to make money. The passion is to create actually employment for thousands of people. And the passion is actually how can he make a big impact to the customer, and which he has proven. What you call 200 crore revenue in 2 years. Actually, not many people have achieved, and he is at a run rate of around 600 crores next year, $100 million. And he's very confident that actually through organic and inorganic routes to get to around $500 million revenue under 5 years. I saw the passion because I felt that actually it's not important you're marrying and whom you're marrying with. Which is good for the people, which is good for the investors, it's good for all the stakeholders actually in the environment. Because people also have to feel that actually they're kind of progressing quite well, and and the journey, the career ladder is very well, and the vision of the promoter is right there. So I found that the alignment is good actually, and the world is moving digital actually. What Cybrent is focused on is user experience and mobility. That's all they do, nothing else actually. So, for example, actually, all of you are familiar with BigBasket.com. So Cybrent did that BigBasket.com. So all the complete user experience, and that's what we do for living. Do for several companies around the world. We did for a lot of banks in Vietnam. We've done for banks in Singapore. Standard Chartered Bank in Singapore. We're doing for a bank in Egypt now. Several companies in US we do. And BBJ started their own online e-commerce. So we did a complete actually user experience and online commerce for BBJ. We are the third largest online jewelry company now. This is actually called ZarMoreDiamonds.com. Caltrain is Jaipur Gems. Jaipur Gems actually. And second is Bluestone, and third is. So that's what Cybrent do actually. We have a great team of user experience experts who have studied 5-year usability engineering team. So there's a team of interaction designers, a team of visual designers. So they understand the kind of customers. See, for example, when a bank actually wants to see today's world, it's not called a website, it's a brand site. So HDFC wants to communicate to customers. First they need to communicate the DNA of the organization, the ethos and values of the organization, understand the customer, understand the competitors, do a benchmarking, and then provide the complete experience for the customers. So that's what Cybrent is good in doing. So. And the whole world actually today, it's not about and how do you bring that whole brand site live actually. So you do build mobility interface, and you want to do transaction, you build e-commerce around it actually. So we do that end to end. into it. So we wanted to take it to the next level actually with the kind of passion Mr. Rangan has shown last 2 years and the ability to bring actually the customers like Home Depot and Coca-Cola of the world. So I saw a great future actually for the organization, and so that's why we thought it's a good marriage and take it forward.
What's the staff strength and revenue?
So we are very boutiques that actually organization. So we have staff strength of around 84 people. Around user experience consulting. So that's all we do. So we're not a traditional IT services actually. It's a boutique consulting firm. That's what it is.
Disclose your revenues?
So we're doing it very private sector.
But you have to know one thing, that this is high-end consulting work. We command a premium in the marketplace, so you can easily do the math on this, because the truth of the matter is, we're not in the commodity business. So our the kind of caliber that we normally recruit into the company, what we pay them, and how we also charge our customers is relatively proportional, because ours is driven from a value perspective. We don't compete on price. So, and that's worked out extremely well for our customers, because I think there are enough players in the marketplace that want to compete on price, and I think there is a space for them, and it works well.
You stay with Azure for some time, or?
Yeah, as part of the transaction actually, I'll show the leadership actually in the strategy and operations and help with actually customer acquisition.
See, part of the acquisition is also acquiring a leader like VT. That's the honest truth. So, I mean, at the end of the day, right, when we looked at the acquisition synergy, it wasn't just about acquiring a company, and its people and its customers. It's also acquiring leadership talent. We're constantly in the acquisition for very good leaders. And what I found in VT is a very strong alignment in values, and we're very complementary in our strengths. And I think that is also very, very helpful, because VT has a very strong focus on bottom line focus, improving profitability and things like that. My focus is driving top line growth, helping the customer reach happen to key customers. So all of us have a certain amount of time in our life, and I think one perspective that I do want to add is, being an entrepreneur, this company has been bootstrapped from the beginning. I bet the farm on it, and I've had to put my life savings in it to get it to where it is today. So obviously I believe in it immensely. Otherwise I wouldn't have taken that kind of a bet. So that has actually translated into a very profound focus, and I've really believed this in my life, that you got to have one idea and one life. And for me, this is a calling, and I wanted to make sure that I put my money where my mouth is. And I think for that, we don't have any external investors at this particular point. It's completely bootstrapped by us. So the reason why we did it this way is to make sure that we are able to prove out the model. And we've been very fortunate that the model has worked out extremely well. It's well received by our top tier customers. So in this process, we wanted to make sure that we are constantly acquiring talent as well, not just customers. So part of the acquisition is to really ensure that we've acquired a good set of people. And it's difficult to quickly add about 100 people to any staff. So I think this has provided that, and also it's enabled VT to join the organization more in a formal role. And we'll basically go do a divide and conquer, which is, I'll focus on top line growth, he'll focus on bottom line management, which is extremely important. In a young company like us, it's difficult to be doing everything and be good at it.
What is the size of this acquisition?
Size of the acquisition? So we've yeah.
Have you started working with any Indian customer, or only for the global customer?
We are actually working with customers in India. Cybrant has been working with a lot more Indian.
So they're bringing the customers also, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Cybrant has been working with a lot of customers in India. Azure as such has been working with customers in India through its global customers. So for example, many of our global customers have a local presence here. So through that, we have actually been supporting our customer base. We also have an India-based sales team that was kick-started sometime this year. And that is slowly bringing new opportunities. And we've acquired maybe about 3 or 4 customers during this short period. And now there'll be an expansion, there'll be also a combination. Both the sales teams will actually be put together, and that will hopefully reap some rewards locally in the domestic market. So the domestic market is also a key focus for us, and part of the acquisition was to support that. And to keep this in perspective, that this will be one of many acquisitions that we will make. Our goal is to find very synergistic acquisitions, specifically in design and digital. The focus for us, like I said, is an omni-channel, which means that we want to, if we make any acquisitions, it would be in companies that are very design-centric, because a lot of the work that we do involves design thinking inherently. We cannot avoid it because the nature of the work is that.
Design, when you say, what sort of design are you referring to here? Design of what?
This is design thinking. See, there's a thought process that goes with, which is called design thinking, and it's a fairly important distinction to understand. Is that it's not traditional technical design; it is designing the end-to-end process. And there are specific methodologies and tools and processes that companies have devised, which give it an edge. So today